Evening all. Hope you're all well. After another week of lockdown, sat indoors, doing bugger all. Well, some of you might have been out. Weather's been pretty crap though, isn't it? So we haven't been able to do much like that. It's certainly starting to even drag me down, and I'm normally quite positive. But I've got two guests on here tonight that have managed to escape the UK glum. They're currently down in Spain, basically getting ready for the season ahead. So we thought we'd get them on because this is always good. A top high level British GP team. And it's always good to hear what's going on with them. So without further ado, let's bring them in. Representing Hitachi KTM, fueled by Milwaukee. First of all, let's bring up my old pal, Bryan Connolly, BC. There he is. Look at that. Right. Corporate god. Got all his gear on, doing what team managers do. And then alongside him, not far away, with a few technical issues, but we got him up anyway, is Stephen Sword, who's now a part of the team training the riders. And that Swordy's doing this on his phone with a few technical hitches, but we got there in the end. Evening, fellas. Good to see you. Looks like you got.
How are you, Jeff?
I'm all right. Now it looks like many would argue that you're on holiday. Is that true?
Well, not really. Been warm up. Yeah. Started our pre-season testing, so yeah.
This is quite bizarre. You're obviously so close that I'm hearing you through BC's headphones. So I think I'm going to have to separate you two somewhat. Who can go in a different room? Who can move? Or somebody put some headphones on. Swordy, you can go and do it from the toilet.
Yeah.
I got no issues with that. While you're doing that, just so we because we're getting a bit of feed.
All these riders are in every other room on the bloody computers.
Are they? Are they
Xbox, PlayStation, come crazy here.
Caning the Wi-Fi. So listen, as we said before, anybody tuning in, we got a few people tuning in. If you've got any questions for these guys, don't mince about. Get the questions over to us, as you can see across the bottom there. All you got to do, if you're watching on YouTube or Facebook, just punch in the questions, and obviously we can all see them all. But I got plenty of questions for these guys anyway. So let's start with you, BC. What I wanted to know, obviously you've worked your way up. We worked together many years ago with Twisted Seven, with Brian Mack, and you've worked for varying teams since then, you know, whatever. And now you're at the forefront of running a GP team, which is massive. What's it been like so far this year compared with preparations last year, purely on the COVID restrictions? I mean, has it caused you a whole host of problems getting product or stuff like that?
It's more the unknown. Like, we're preparing, but you hear rumors that the season might not start till later, and it's just you're not really sure exactly what you're preparing for or when you're preparing. Obviously, we've heard we are going racing 100%, but we're sort of like, it's almost a little bit more relaxed because we're taking it, I'm not going to say easy because we're in full like pre-season mode, but it's like you hear these rumors, so you're like a little bit less stressed about the things like ordering the team clothing. It always comes a little bit late, and there's all these sort of things that, like, last year was a major stress with the photo shoot, where we've not even bothered booking a photo shoot as of yet because we're waiting on new team clothing and a few other bits and pieces to fall into place. So it's a little bit less stressful, but it's more stressful in the aspect of, like, the job we had to actually get here was a mission, because we were going to fly to Amsterdam, then fly down, and then that never happened. The flights got cancelled, so then in the end we jumped in Saudi's van and we just drove.
Good old Swordy saving the day. Steve, yeah. What listen, from a rider's point of view, you've been a top rider and you've seen what's going on at factory teams or whatever. Since you quit racing, and obviously you did that stint with DT for a while on the off-road adventure side of things or whatever, and now involved with this, I know you're more hands-on training the riders. Do you now see it a different way and appreciate a bit more the everyday running that goes into a team now you're not a rider?
Yeah, I do. I mean, there's things I still don't know and quite understand what Brian does and what Roger are doing. I'm learning along that side along the way a little bit. It's easy for me to get into the sort of the rider mode and fit into their program and live it a little bit each day and try and encourage them to do it the right way, which they're working hard and doing their best all the time. But I always feel like, from a rider's point of view, if I go back to when I was riding, you always need, I think that it goes in every sport, you always need someone of an older era to remind you of what it takes and what you know, what the hard work entails.
Yeah.
They do a great job, but there's always that. You know, the world's changing, isn't it? Like, you know, for the moment, it's gone mad at the minute.
Jesus. Yeah, I'd say. I
The
think that's an
world's
understatement.
it's gone completely mad. But from the motocross side, you just try, and the sport will always change. Everything will get newer. Everything will get the profile. But the grassroots of the sport and what it takes to remind them of what it was like 10 years ago, let alone 30 years ago. I think there's a lot to be said for that, and I just try and pass on what I got told and what I learned, and more so what you don't want to be doing wrong, which you only learn from making mistakes. So
Yeah.
we try and limit the mistakes and push forward in the right way. That's why we're here at the moment. I mean, there is an argument that, are we down here too early, or what's going to happen? There's probably going to be some sort of a delay, I would say, but not enough of a delay to stop for a long time, if you know what I mean. So we've got to keep the focus, keep the momentum going. Maybe just rein it in a little bit rather than be full on as it would be. But you just don't know what to do. You just got to kind of crack on. What's he saying? Yeah.
So Sterry is now. Hold on, right? Just before we came on air, BC told me that it's worked out that obviously you two are hierarchy, quite right, more mature. You're not into wild parties and all that. All your days of doing that are long gone, I know. So you've got two separate apartments, haven't you? So the lads are all in an apartment next door. Is that right, BC, or is any of them in that?
The mechanics are at a different house, and pretty much me and Sword and the riders are in one house.
Oh,
Yeah.
so they're there. So
Almost babysitting.
right. So that's Sterry. Now you're saying obviously you've been working hard today. Apparently we got to wrap this up pretty quick already because you're needed on you're all playing PlayStation games there, BC. Is that right? You're needed on Warzone apparently.
That's exactly it.
Is that it? So extra men. So there's Lane as well. So clearly there's a good camaraderie there between the lads already. So how's it gone so far down there? I mean, you haven't been down there long. You only got down there what, 2 or 3 days ago?
Yeah, we got Friday. We arrived Friday, so we've had 2 days riding, which have been good. You know, everyone's enjoyed starting off on some nice groomed tracks, you could say. They've done the Dunkirk for three weeks or 4 weeks. So it's nice to be putting in some laps in some good weather and a little bit of speed. And yeah, I mean, it's great down here. It's what's needed at this time of the year, along with all the other hard stuff. You know, the wet and the cold and the deep sand. They've sort of done that over January. So yeah, we're here, and like you said, all part of being a team or getting them going there is that little bit of fun side, and they've done their training, and they have a little bit of banter at the night time, and yeah, we just leave them to it. I just go to bed. And
who's doing the cooking, BC?
Sorry, he's the chef.
I was going to say, because I don't recall you doing too much cooking in our time.
I'm not too domesticated, that's a shame. I do the cleaning up. I put the place in the dishwasher.
That's very much your thing, keeping things clean and whatever. So BC, tell us, you know, like you said, your job role's changed a lot. You've gone from a mechanic now to a team to a team manager. Do you still, from your point of view, how have you found that transition? Do you still are you still tempted sometimes to think, look, get out of the way and get on the tools? I know you wouldn't do that to a rider's mechanic, but it must be hard to switch off being a mechanic and then transfer over to being a team manager and do that side of it.
Yeah, it definitely is, because you're still, I've done too many years of mechanic, but the thing is, we've got good guys now who can do the job really good. So to be honest, I can kind of leave them their own devices and they get the job done. So it's not too much stress, but the biggest stress is it's more stupid things like Excel spreadsheets that.
Welcome to my world. Finally, you got there.
Yeah, in the last 2 weeks, 4 years, I reckon I used Excel more than I ever have in my whole entire life.
Yeah.
I'm not very good at computers, but unless it's Xbox.
But we did say, didn't we, back in the days of when we started this thing, or you was already started with Dry Mac and Twisted 7 thing, and I remember us having a conversation saying one day that you two will be in the position that I am and taking the reins and running a team, which you kind of joked about at the time, but here we are. I mean, Bryan,
understand the stress of it now, all these years ago.
But it's so rewarding, though, isn't it? I mean, that's the point. Like you've ridden, you've been a racer, you're there, and it's a different thing, I think, when you're a team manager. I mean, you've ridden to a relatively high level, the Scottish Championships and all that kind of stuff. Yeah. But you must get so much satisfaction when the lads do well as a team. Because you know as much as anybody that all the stuff on a daily basis that puts that bike out on track, and it's not just building the bike; it's liaising with sponsors and all that constant thing that you've got to manage throughout the year, and it never stops. There's no off season, really, is there?
Definitely not. And it's what you have to do to actually go racing. And a lot of people don't understand. They think, "Oh, why do you need a full-time mechanic?" But they don't realize that we rebuild the bikes every single week, and like we have to get the parts to rebuild the bikes. And then you have to all the logistics of getting the bikes to the track and dawning and all the things that come with it. It's not just racing motorbikes. There's a whole lot of other stuff, keeping people happy and talking to sponsors. And there's a lot more goes in it than just riding. Yeah.
So let's rewind the pair of you to tail end of last year, obviously, or last year. How did you find that? I mean, obviously, it started off all right. It was all good. Then everybody's world got turned upside down with the whole COVID thing. How did you manage that? What was it like? Because I didn't go to any GPs last year, mainly because of that. So what was it like being at the GPs and all the things put in place for your own, for your safety, the COVID restrictions and all that? Was that trying? Was that really difficult to manage?
It was frustrating because we hustled quite a lot to get
I love that word.
Injured. Like he was injured, so we had to pull together and we done a little off season really because we were at this point last year we hadn't done much riding leading up to either Bas or Conrad because we were both injured. So we had to pull together and we got pretty good for Matterley, done Matterley. Then Volkenswaard, we done fairly good. Bas had a good one and Conrad was up there again. And then after that, it was done. And then you're waiting and waiting and waiting. No one knows when you're going to go racing again.
Yeah.
What about you, Steve? Was good.
Sorry, BC, say it again.
To actually get back to races was good. And to be honest, what they managed to do in the short space time was really good.
Yeah.
I quite enjoyed it when you were having a good time. But Latvia wasn't as easy for us as a team.
Yeah.
Because we just took Adam on. Conrad was struggling a little bit, so we rode every single day in between. And it was a long 9 days.
What was your take on that, Steve? Because you obviously had to, you came in to the team coaching Conrad. I mean, for a lot of us, I mean, it wasn't. I was quite surprised. I mean, it didn't surprise me. Literally, wow, I didn't see that coming at all. But but I was still like, okay, that's kind of cool because obviously Conrad in particular had worked with Justin Morris for a long time and whatever, and so it must have been. I guess from his point of view, it's just time as it sometimes happen. Everybody a change as good as as the next thing really. Sometimes in freshening up your year and whatever. So how did all that come about and your involvement in the team come about? Was that a conversation that Conrad picked up the phone to you? I mean, or Bry did, or Roger? How did you get involved with the team?
Well, I mean, me and Roger and I, we sort of got history with when I rode with him in '9. So from that side of it, I knew the team quite well. But it didn't happen like that. We sort of just fell into each other a little bit. I bumped into him in a restaurant before the Grand Prix, I think, in Matterley.
Right. Who's this? What, Conrad are you on about, or Roger?
Dad, and he was there with his family, and I was there with my two kids. I'd come up to Matterley to watch the GP on the Saturday, and we were just having some food, bumped into him, and said hello, and was just chatting away, and that was it, really. He had a good first race there. Actually, he was riding really well. But and then a week or so later, I don't know how it really come about. We exchanged texts, and the next minute I'm at a track with him. So that part of the season, 09, the 09 season, I didn't come in early on in the year. I didn't do the off season with him at all. So it just started off I was sort of part time, if you like. So I was still working with RC Motorhomes with Rich, my friend. So it was sort of 2 days a week, and then at the weekends, or 1 day a week and at the weekends, and then it sort of fell into more of a regular thing. Although he got injured at Canada Heights, so that put that season sort of out the way. But I was still committed to some Grand Prix with Roger, so I went along and I helped Bas. I got to know Bas then, and then it sort of the season finished. Bas got injured as well, and then we had a chat about full time for last year, and it just happened. The budget was right. The sort of Roger himself. Was at home. He was trying to get his health in place because he had a transplant, and BC was taking care of a lot of the load off of Roger, and I guess I was on the ground a little bit as well. So it probably fell right that way to justify paying someone a wage full time for the year, and it's sort of carried on again. I mean, once I was committed to doing the full season, it was kind of easier for me to make a plan then to start in January and do the winter training and stuff. And I mean, my first winter was this time last year down here. We came down a little bit in December before, and then we come on the January. So we had a good winter program with all the riders, and then it led into to last year. Like BC said, we had some warm-up races. The Matterley GP went well for Conrad. Not so great for Bas, but he bounced back in Valkenswaard. We arrived at Little Silver. It never happened, and that was it.
Oh, that was it.
I packed Bas up and I said, you'll have to go home. We're on lockdown. And he said, oh, I'll be on lockdown in England. I said, I don't think it works like that. So we shipped him back to Holland, and within a week, well, you know what it was like.
He's probably in a good place now. He's probably in a good place being with you because it's all been kicking off in Holland. He'd probably be out in the streets with the rest of them when he Baz getting involved.
I think it was the unknown for us, wasn't it? It wasn't something that anyone with the COVID last year. It was all like a panic and everything stopped, and I was just pleased that the racing got going and started and stuff. So I'm not reading the comments. What are they saying?
Oh, it's just Brownie, Zander in the next room trying to get BC. Listen, it's not easy. BC's got to sit there. He knows everybody's looking at him, and while we're listening to you, we're listening. It's a good bit of information there, Swordy, and we're getting ribbed for not smiling, listening to your story. But that's just
waffle on. It doesn't matter. But
no, not at all. This is the kind of stuff we want to know. This is the kind of stuff I want to know anyway. BC, from your point of view, listen, I've spent enough time with you and Brian Mack and seen your dynamic as a mechanic stroke motivator. I mean, you two had still have obviously an amazing relationship. You were great for Brian motivating, and you're not just doing the bike and everything. Again, so where does this cross over then? Steve, you got no objections. I'm throwing this to BC first, actually, but you don't feel like you're stepping on Steve's toes if you're having a word in the rider's ear or anything. You have to do that.
We work well together, to be honest, and we bounce quite a lot of stuff off each other. And I've seen it done quite a lot as well.
Blood.
We like to give blood here, but
is that right?
It's no, I don't know. We work quite well. We've got a good dynamic. We speak like every day on the phone when we're not together, so we do talk a lot and say what we think. To be honest, we're quite on the same wavelength of how it should be done and what needs to be done.
What I would say, right now, correct me if I'm
more
wrong.
mellow now than I was then, Jeff.
Are you?
I would
have thought you'd be more stressed because of the pressure level.
Much more mellow, as in.
Is that right? Is that being a dad and just grow and just maturity and all that, getting a bit older?
Don't know. It must be, but
is that a bit of one-to-one with me, Jeff?
Is that what it is?
Yeah.
Have you chilled him out? Well, that's all right. As long as he doesn't start speaking to your old man when he's pissed up. Because
we had a good conversation at one of our good friends' weddings. Me and Ian were sat drinking around the table, and it was a good old conversation.
My last conversation was with Ian was at the Vets MX Donations. It was an interesting one. I think the next day, Steve, is when you went flat out into the bush. If it was the same weekend on it, I think.
on the Saturday. I'd already done myself.
Oh, you'd already done yourself, hadn't you? Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I think that's why the old man was hammered so much.
Yeah,
Or
that's
maybe
right.
not. Maybe that's just his regular thing.
The world and the motocross world to write that night.
Absolutely. Yeah, it was an interesting evening. But listen, so with the riders then, so how, I know you two, I think I've known you two long enough to know that you don't, neither of you at a stage in your life where you've both been quite open and honest the whole time I've known you. So I reckon, you don't pull any punches with the riders. Is that true? Do you tell them as it is, or do you sometimes think, oh, this one I better just wrap them in cotton wool a bit and tell them what they want to hear?
Probably more cotton wool than how it is.
Because you don't strike me, BC, as a tool going like, especially because you're from the motherland up north. I know what you Scots are like.
Don't know, I'm soft these days. Like if I was how I was they wouldn't speak to me.
I mean, okay, let's go to Conrad.
New generation.
I'm not singling Conrad out. It's just that obviously I wouldn't say he's a lead rider in the team, but he's the one at the sharp end of MX2, okay, and doing that. Baz is there as well, but Conrad from a British perspective, so we all know. So he's won a junior world title. We know that he's got the potential, and he started off good, and and he shows flashes, but then he occasionally seems to just lose his way. But how have you been managing that? Is any one time do you light a fire in his arse? Have you tried everything, I guess, to try and just find that consistency? You in particular, Steve, I would have thought.
Yeah, I mean, it's, again, I say it so many times, and people know and people see that when he's on his day, there's not many people that's faster than him. And
right, I totally.
That's an obvious, that's what he does. But what I see from this, if I put everything else aside, because I wasn't with him before, so he gets painted with a brush that he should be doing this. He's been in a factory team. He's not now. He's been people label him with different things. But when I got into with him, I sort of took him for what I saw, and he's a lovely lad. He does what he needs to do. He struggles with some things. Riding a bike it's not a problem for him. And he's worked a lot on other areas of his training, whatever he needs to do to make himself good at the weekends. And I think it's slowly. You can just build and build and build. And if he starts off this year where he left off last year, he's starting on a better foot already because he's not injured. This time last year, he was just getting on the bike. So he's ahead of where he was mentally, physically, and he's just got to do it now, really. But it will come, and he was so close this last year of getting his podium, and it was very, very close. Right at 6-7 seconds up the track was the win in a couple of races. But we know how hard it all is, and until you go through those races and learn from them, and you go down on the start, he had many races where he come back from the back to 10th, into the top 10. He came from 24th to 5th in one race, but then he had a couple of bad races, and he won't mind me saying, because we talk about it all the time, where he starts 10th and doesn't really go forward. But there was less of them this last year. There was a lot less of the messy results, if you like, last year than there's ever been. The downside to last year was probably we didn't have a British Championship, so there wasn't that we as a team could get our teeth into, and that's always a priority from Roger's point of view as well, and KTM UK. The British Championship's very important for them
I'm not sure about that, if that's always his priority. Seems like food's on his mind at the minute, if you read the quote below.
That?
It's Roger.
He wants to know what's on the menu.
Well, we've maxed the team card out, so that might.
God,
I mean, money.
Don't be telling him that. As I said, he's had major heart surgery. Don't let him hit him with that when you get back.
It was a kid. He got a heart.
Yeah. But going back to Conrad and even the other riders, they're all experienced, and we've got young Ethan Lane now. He's learning all their bad habits. So he's learning and trying to pick up on what needs to be done, and there isn't any there's no shortcuts. It's simple.
No.
I can tell them what to do or tell them to do it 80%, but the only way to get the job done is to do it 100%, 110%. And there's more people doing it nowadays. Even from 15, 20 years ago when I was doing Grand Prix, there's more people doing it 110% all the time.
Yeah, and more coaching and everything like that. So obviously it's getting more and more professional. We know that. Talking of which, BC, as we said, have you found that, from when the experiences you've gained for early doors, being a team mechanic, rider's mechanic with Bryan, then working your way up through teams and whatever. Have you found that, obviously, certainly at GP level, it just seems to get, from where I'm sat, just more and more professional every year, as in the level of preparation you have to do outside of the races, like we've talked about.
Yeah.
The truck, the setup of the truck alone, it's and it's just a huge undertaking the whole time, isn't it? To stuff to think about. Do you often feel like you feel like you're getting pulled away from the main thing, which is going racing, and because I know what you're all about when the gate drops. We all are the same. I get that, but that's what really matters at the end of the day. But the trucks and everything is such a bit, and the setup is such a big part of it now, isn't it? And social media, everything.
The truck's probably one of the worst parts, to be honest, of it for the mechanics. And clean. The thing is, it looks really nice when it's set up. You've got the plastic flooring and the big tent, but you've got to clean that stuff, and it's not easy to keep clean. And it's a job in itself, to be honest. If you have the budget, and I know factory teams, some teams do, if you have the budget, you could have just one guy, two guys cleaning all the time. We can't do that, but so it's a major pain in the ass, to be honest. All this stuff, long gone, turning up with a transit van and going for it.
Well, that's what you're currently doing at the minute, right? You've got the couple of just run the sprinter vans down there at the minute.
Yeah, but even that's a Vanta rider now. It's not like cramming everything in. It's like a Vanta rider, two practice bikes and a lot of stuff. It's not like spare engines and practice bikes, and it's a lot of stuff to go riding the level we do it at.
And how do you find the dynamic now with the riders that you have? Like you said, Steve, you've trained riders before, but now you're effectively training a team of riders rather than one individual. Or say, let's just say, for argument's sake, you were training Conrad, and then somebody else that wasn't racing GPs or whatever, and is a privateer or whatever. But now you're kind of training, a team. We've seen other riders, obviously, like Gareth Swanepoel's gone off and done that successfully at Star Yamaha and whatnot. So does that make it a little bit easier or more complicated when you're not working with one individual, but you're working with a team? Is it easier to motivate them against each other?
Well, I mean, I think last year I was working with Bas as well. Pretty much, Bas was on the program full time in the winter. Sort of, it worked out that I was traveling a lot with Conrad because we were coming from England, and then it all, we all got shut down and locked down. So I didn't get to go to Belgium or Holland, but Bas was in a few times last year. So we didn't, whenever we were in Belgium, he'd have a little injury. So this year we're starting off fit well. Conrad's moving to Belgium. He's moving there at the end of this month, so he's going to be there much more. I'll be backwards and forwards. But for now, it's just as easy to do one as it is just as easy to do 3 or 4 than it is one, because you can use them a little bit against each other. And the good thing is that they don't mind riding with each other. They don't mind cat and mouse. They don't mind sort of going the same days. So from that side, it works fine. Whereas if you had like one rider was like, I got my own program, I'm not coming, I'll do my own thing, I wouldn't really have a problem with it. But it works well, and no one really complains. Adam's joined in this year, and young Ethan. So it works really well. I'm quite enjoying it, to be honest.
Sure
And
you are,
as
yeah.
you know, as you know, we when it's in your blood, and we just like to go racing. So we just want to get to the racing, and that's what we're training for and working towards now. When it will
Yeah.
happen, I don't know, but
Well,
I'm,
hopefully.
I'm, I'm hoping the British will. I'm hoping the British will continue, not just for us, but for the whole sort of country. And
Well, I hope so. I mean, I've had Gareth on the show a couple of times. As we get nearer to the kickoff, if it's going to kick off on time, we're probably getting back on to see where we're up to date with all what his plans are. BC, talking of that, British Championship and whatever, how do you find that? Because obviously you guys have got the workshops based in Belgium right now. So that's two questions, really. How's that? I guess that's no different than doing another GP, but actually probably more problematic because you've got to bring the truck back to the UK. And secondly, how have you found that? You know, because like I said, you've got a young family, you know, you're a Scottish lad, you've got a home up there in Scotland. How have you been finding that? That must be difficult. It's a job. I know it's a job you love, so you must have spoke it through, understanding misses and everything. Because obviously you spend a lot of time away from home. So is that difficult?
Yeah, it is difficult being away, but I've done it like since I've pretty much been with the missus, so she understands it's what I do. But as far as the British Championship, I love it because you get to go. It's all your friends that you've been with the whole time. So you just like coming home again, and anytime you can win a race or be in contention to win's good. So and with Conrad at the British Championship in Bass, you're pretty much guaranteed that you're going to.
Okay. Here's a question for you both. BC, you can go first on this. You can answer this as a trainer, Steve. Do you feel as a team more pressure racing the British Championship than GPs? And the reason I ask that is because when I was racing GPs, it might have been the same for you, Stephen, as well. I don't know. You know, like when you come back home, you're automatically expected. Now, obviously, I'm not on about me racing at British level. I'm on about Southwest Masters, that area. I'd be doing GPs, come back, want to ride, have some fun, and then you'd rock up, and then you'd get like Gilby, and everybody going, "Oh, you're having it today," and all that. It's like, oh God, I just want to, you know. If I felt more pressure coming home than doing the GPs. Is that for you as a team, BC? Is there more? Because let's be honest, you guys are expected to win championships in the UK.
There's a little bit, but not on me, because regardless, the job stays the same. You like as a mechanic, you prep the bike the same as it's a GP or a British Championship, and as team manager, you prepare the exact same way to go to race. So for me personally, there's no more pressure. It's a little bit easier because, I just think it's easier because it's in England and everyone speaks the language, and like you can go to Tesco's and grab your favorite food or whatever. So it's a little bit easier in that aspect. You're not in some like different supermarket in Italy trying to buy what you want.
He's not a lover for that foreign muck, Stephen. He knows his hope, you know. And what about you, Steve?
Been good.
Has he been good?
It's gone a bit glitchy there.
Well, because I suppose because you're both Kane in broadband, and all the lads are still trying to play.
I'm not. We're on 4G.
How are you?
We're on
hotspot.
Yeah. I thought they're all playing. What is it?
Won't give it the bandwidth for Call of Duty, will they?
Call of Duty, yeah. Oh God. So go on, Steve. What was you going to say? So, you know, from a rider's coaching point of view, you know, do you handle it differently? Like, do you handle Conrad differently doing a British round than a GP?
Yeah, I mean, obviously Bas is Dutch, so when he comes to the British, it's kind of like a European round for him. But he's keen to come over and learn and ride some of the new tracks that he hasn't ridden before in England. So that was kind of our plan as a team, to get them over and yeah, like you said, take the British Championship seriously. We don't just rock up and have a week off before. And like you said, I know from before, it wasn't that much any easier, to be honest, to come and win 2 races at British Championship when I podiumed or done well at a Grand Prix the week before and had a British the following week. You know, you had half a dozen GP riders there anyway. So I have reminded them, and I have said to Conrad, you know, like before, we have a good week, but you can't take your eye off the ball going into a British Championship because it's yeah, there's people that are there that it's their, that's what they've trained for all year, is the British Championship. So it's they're putting everything into it, and they want to be chasing up the GP riders' heels. And we know historically British riders can ride a lot faster, at home
Yeah,
than maybe when they
true that.
go abroad. There's a lot of them do that. So yeah, it's sort of like I was saying, you come back and you can be racing with someone that might not race with you at a Grand Prix, which, because they're all revved up and ready to go and chase you down. So again, like BC said, you sort of prepare for the British Championship, not much different from a Grand Prix. They'll be in their own beds probably the week before the British, maybe not Bass, but obviously Adam's there now. So it's very, very clear that between the three of them, Ethan's obviously in the youth at the British Championship. So it's clear that Adam's got all the capabilities to win the British title,
Yeah.
and Conrad and Bass, they're going to have to battle it between themselves to win the British Championship. So we have got a good chance of both classes, but we don't expect it's not going to be any easier than a Grand
I
Prix.
think that's what I was going to ask. Like, so expectations. Do you actually talk about that as a team? Do you map them out? Listen, anybody watching this, we know we race to win. Doesn't matter who you are. Even if your expectations are, and you're not very good enough, you race to do as high up as you can. That's the reason we race. So clearly, a team of your size, the riders you have, they want to win. But do you actually, do you set out any expectation? I would have thought for British, you just said you've hit the nail on the head. You're going for titles. You've won a load of titles. GPs is a slightly different thing, of course. And that MX2 class is so competitive. It's obviously you've got riders coming up from EMX 250 every year that just jump straight in at the sharp end. Some of them, no doubt. Do you actually map it out? Do you say, right, this is a realistic expectation, not a bare minimum, but where you'd expect to see Conrad and Baz? A target effectively, right at the end of the year.
I think it's the British is quite clear, although it's clear that they can both win races. They could both win the championship if it all rolls right. But as you know, to win a championship, you don't have to win the first round. So it will still be in my mind to tell them that you don't know what's going to happen on the first corner. You don't know something might happen on the first lap. So you go into the first round. Yeah, of course they want to win. If they get the start and they've got the good pace, they shouldn't not. But we know what it can be like you said. So it's still it is a goal to win all the time. But sometimes you have to. There'll be a race where you've got to limit the damage, and if it means taking a third in a race or just settling for a podium, but the key is to start off on the box, all three of them on the podium, and then you can build from there. And then the Grand Prix is not much different really. They all know where they'd like to finish. Conrad's got his goals. Bass has got goals. Adam is
in the kitchen now.
Who's that? Who's in the kitchen, BC?
Bass is walking in the kitchen.
It's Baz. Where is he? Baz, I mean, listen, these two boys can't look after themselves. You're young. In Europe, they do things differently. They they just get used to doing domestic chores at an earlier age. We've just been chatting. I think they're going to nominate you to be the chef for the rest of the tour, because both of these two, the cook, they both look malnutritioned at the minute. You need to start cooking for them and looking after them.
Well, I could, but actually, Swordy, I've got to say he's a pretty excellent cook. So
don't give me that. What is it, like beans on toast? Probably
pizza.
No, tonight we had some gnocchi with pesto and chicken and some rice. That was lovely.
Get on, Swordy. Get on, Swordy. I tell you what, I know what Roger's playing at. He hasn't hired you as a rider coach. He's like, we're getting him in as a chef stroke rider coach. Baz, how's it going so far? The few days you've had over there. Obviously, it's looking, decent weather. You've done a lot of riding in the wet sand of Northern Europe. So I guess it's nice to get some bit more speed up together on the track and enjoy the sunshine and good weather, is it?
First, you should ask him about his kill-death ratio. That'll probably be more.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah. So, have you just been in there gaming?
Yeah, in Warzone I've got a 1.15. So
who's winning, or who's currently like the man to beat?
He's the best of the team.
Sterry's the best of the team.
Is it? Right, and that's obviously because Sterry's got too much time on his hands when he's back in the UK. You need to come down hard on that, Swordy. He's spending too much time on video games. His eyes will go square.
Yeah, he said there's nothing else to do at the minute. So, or when the lockdown was on, or before Christmas. So, yeah.
But
as long as they get the job done at the weekend.
That's it. Baz, how are you? So far, it's very early days. We've been talking to these guys about not really sure when we're going to start. Hopefully, things will start on track. Right now, how are you feeling on the bike after just a couple of days, or down in Spain? Is it all on track? Are you feeling good this year?
Yeah, I'm feeling actually pretty good. I think we are better. We started off better than last year, so we got everything more sorted. Everything is better. We've all been together as a team now for a year, so we're more played into each other. And no, I think the whole team is doing a very good job. Yeah,
cool. Well, listen. Hopefully, we'll get to see you do a full season in the UK this year. That would be cool because we didn't see much of you last year, obviously. Listen, I wish you the best of luck with it. I mean, I could talk to you more. We'll probably do another interview with you further down the line when we get racing. I don't want to hold you up because clearly you got gaming to go and attend to.
Go to bed, actually. Tomorrow during the day again.
Bedtime. All right. Well, you better go off to bed then. These two are going to stay up talking to me for a bit longer. It's good to have you on the show, Baz. Keep us up to speed. We'll check in with you a bit further down the line.
Sounds good. Hey, have a good evening.
Yeah, I will do. Take care. There you go. So you got to put them to. So who's who's responsible to make sure they're heading? Have you got to tuck them in, BC?
Yeah, Sardi's got to do that. Mother Sord.
I've got the bottle. I've got their bottle.
On another note, right? Because his name just popped up several times. Brownie, who's always good for a laugh, and he is obviously a great, fantastic rider whose career was cut short with injury and whatever.
I mean, we had Xander.
How's
Xander? He's rating himself best on the team at Call of Duty, but if we go on Warzone wins just alone, I'm second best after Adam.
BC, tell me as a team manager how and this might be difficult because I know he likes a bit of a piss taking, does Xander, but in all serious, how's he getting on? Because he's obviously gone straight out of being a rider to learn to being a mechanic and whatever. And he is a good laugh. So how's he getting on as a mechanic and blending with the team?
He's clearly listening, but no, he's doing very good. Like for where he's come, because obviously you got to remember his mechanical knowledge when he started wasn't very good, or when he was racing. Sorry, he did do his own bikes, but it wasn't very. He'd wash them and whatever, and his dad would do the high tech stuff or whatever. It was the tough stuff. But to be honest, where he's came in a year is really, really good, and he kind of approached it like he's a rider where he wants to be good, so he listens, he takes it on like a sponge, and he's determined to learn. And to be honest, he's a good guy now. He's come a long way. He can open it and close it again. He done that, learned that in the winter. So no, he's coming a long way. He's going to be a good mechanic.
I mean, from the outside looking in, which is me, obviously, and many others in the British paddock. I mean, Roger over the last 10 years, let's say narrow it down to the last 5 or 6. The team, and obviously bringing you in, without blowing too much smoke, seemingly blowing smoke up both your backsides. But the team seemingly gets stronger and better each year. Is that just the little thing? Is that just the refinements? That's not necessarily making huge changes. Just little tweaks every year, and also continuity. Is that helping? Like you literally, so you got the same riders, again this year, in GPs at least at the sharp end. I think, does that make a big difference? Not swapping and changing.
Yeah, definitely does. It makes it roll into one more where you know each other, and you know how to push each other's buttons to an extent. I mean, we have changed the staff a little bit. We have got a few different mechanics, and we've got Reese Bow, who previously building the engines and stuff, so he's back on. We've got a couple of new mechanics. I mean, quite a lot of the team actually has worked as factory mechanics before, so we've got a good foundation, a good team behind us.
Yeah,
all got experience.
It's looking strong, you know. So, I mean, GP wise, as we said, you haven't gone into the exact expectations of what's there or thereabouts. But I mean, ultimately, you've got riders there that, you know, obviously the MX1 is a stacked class, and I'm not saying Adam's not capable of getting a podium, but that's a harder shot for him because that class is, you know, obviously super stacked out, and those factory bikes you're up against. But in MX2, you know, you've got two riders there that on their day, you know, are capable of winning races and possibly GP.
I'm just looking. Here comes Adam as well. He's coming.
He comes out. He's probably snotty with me now because I said he has.
He feels jealous because Bas got on, and he probably wants to be on.
Get Sterry on then. Get Sterry. Actually, don't put him on if he's in his gym jams. I don't want to see that.
No, he's not. He's still in his Warzone outfit.
Don't tell me he dresses up for that
as well.
What's that?
May as well just get Conrad in and have.
Yeah, get them all on. Let's
sticking around as well.
Let's have a party. Adam, you all right?
All right, Jeff. How's it going?
Not too bad. Not too bad. Not too bad at all. So, how's it all going out there then with all the camaraderie with the guys? So, obviously, you're all waxing. You're all talking smack talk about who's best at gaming. Is it you? Sounds like it's you.
I
Come on, you can be. I know you're quite modest.
Xander, he was the best.
Did he? Well, maybe we'll have to have a one-on-one, and we'll let you know how that goes.
I think quite simply what we should do while you're out there is hook up to and do a screen share, and we can just put it out there so you can have your gaming night in front of an audience one night to see who actually is best.
Yeah, I'd be up for that.
Yeah.
You want to see some shouting and screaming?
How's it actually going then? Because obviously last year wasn't a difficult year. Well, maybe it was, maybe it wasn't. It's not maybe the right word, but you had an indifferent year. You know, you obviously started off with one team, then you transition over. Now, clearly back settled on a team that you know, with a bit more time to prepare properly. So, on a personal level, before you even swung your leg over the bike, how's health and fitness? Is that all good? You got no niggling injuries and all feeling in good shape?
No, all good. Like you said, last year was difficult. It was good to have a break in the off season. We actually found quite a lot out towards the end of the year. It was a little bit too late, but we was able to take this into the pre-season, and we've started well so far, and it's good to be here in Red Sand now to really start it. As a team, we're all here in the house and getting some solid training in, and I know it's a nightmare at home and difficult for people to ride and stuff, but here we can get the job done, test solid, ride solid, get the hours in, and be as ready as we can.
Do you feel you're in a better place now? You've got, admittedly, you haven't had too much of a big run in MX1, but now just getting your head round, because as confident as you might be coming out of MX2, obviously your confidence was good. You performed brilliantly. You won British Championships. You did brilliant for Team GB at the Nations and all that. But let's be honest, MX1 is a different kettle of fish, isn't it? You know, like, are you starting to feel like mentally you belong there now a bit more? Because it must take a little while just to get your head around the whole speed and of what's going on.
I've always thought that I suited a 450 better. And last year it was a bit of a shock of not so much of how difficult it was, because I see the riders and I know it is difficult, but more the transition of riding a 450 different than a 250. That was a lot harder than I anticipated, but especially with everything that I had going on in the year, changing teams and injuries and everything, and trying to compete at that level and trying to catch up, it just wasn't really working, and testing at the races, and it wasn't from a lack of trying, but like I said, at the end we kind of made progress and got there, and kind of wish we had a few more races after we found that out, to be honest, but happy that I was able to stay with this team and have the opportunity, and we're putting in the work now, and I already feel great, so can't wait for the races to start. Hopefully they're all still on time. And,
I hope so.
Yeah,
I'm sure you'll have a lot of British support. Now, I know it's always difficult to ask this when somebody's sat right next to you. He's not in the same room, but he's on the same screen as you. How's it going? You know, obviously now you've worked with Mike Jones down the years and other coaches and whatever. So now, is it nice, and that's not taking anything away from coaches you've had up to this point, but do you find it's always nice to get, you can never stop learning and get other people's different perspectives? Is that being refreshing for you, just to get a different point of view with your riding, coaching?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it was a positive when I went and worked with Daruva, and there's definitely positives as well with working with Stephen. So, Mark was a good rider in his day, Stephen was a good rider, so everyone brings something different to the table. I always think you can keep on learning, and so far it's going well. We haven't worked together that long, but yeah, I'm happy with everything so far. We're putting in good work and doing it as a team, so all pushing each other along, and yeah, I'm happy with how it's going.
You seem very confident. Obviously, from a British Championship point of view, that would be a big target for you to add that to an MX2 title. There's not that many riders really, enough, but not many that have won titles in both classes. So that's obviously got to be a big aim for you as well. Obviously I don't say do you think you can do it, because clearly you believe you can, but you must be looking forward to coming back and racing in front of the British fans, because we're all, I think we're all missing. It seems so long ago since we had a British Championship. It really does, doesn't it?
Yeah, it really does, and it's been a long time since I've raced one as well. So really looking forward to getting back in the British. I have to go for that title, of course. Something I feel like I can do. GP is going to push us along with that, and there's a lot of tracks that suit me on the calendar. So yeah, hopefully that goes all to plan. We run that as normal, and yeah, I can't wait to start racing again in the UK. It's a championship that I liked, and in 2016 I won it, so I'd like to add that 450 title to it too.
Yeah. Well, hopefully sometime this year I shall be offering you an invite into the van to do a man in the van interview. We'll get one of them done at the races this year at the British. Yeah, I'll let you go now. You've probably got to have your hot chocolate and get your water bottle made.
Somebody will be shouting in a minute. It's almost
I know what it is. You're all waiting for me to hang up this interview, and it's gonna be party town. The strobe lights are gonna come out. The beers are gonna. I know what you lot are like. Don't give me that.
Swordy knows more about them days than me.
Oh, he does. He does. Let's get Swordy back on and wrap this thing up.
Nice to speak to you, Jeff.
No, nice one, mate. Take care of yourself. We'll see you soon. So BC, we'll sign off because we won't hold you much longer. You've got to get ready for another day tomorrow. But it all looks good down there. Like obviously the team spirit's looking good, sounding good. And what is it going to be now then? How long you staying there? And is it just you got to try and balance the time between riding, coaching, and testing? I guess you still got a lot of testing to do.
Yeah, officially we're here till the 15th or 16th. And we're talking about maybe moving to the Barcelona area, depending on what the situation is at home and where we can ride and what we can do. And a big thing depends on when the actual races start, because we might be like what we're doing right now with the riding schedule and stuff. You can't maintain this for forever, so we might need to back it down just a little bit and just sort of ride a few times a week instead of what our schedule we're on now, because it's pretty intense. So all depends. I hear there's going to be an announcement pretty soon on the GPs, so we'll. Maybe
because that's the thing, isn't it? Like I'm sure you'll back me up with this and explain it. A lot of people that have never been involved with running a GP team, or everybody thinks again it's this dream job, and it is. We always say that, but there's always the word job at the end of it. There's still days where you got to dig in and graft hard. So when it comes to doing what you're doing, a lot of people I guess don't understand that you've also got to manage a budget. You can't. Especially on the race bikes and the engines. You can't, it's all well having a factory bike, but you can't go and tear it up every day.
The thing is, with the budget as well, it's only so much, and you can't just ride because you're using parts all the time. So you kind of got to think about that as well. Yeah. So, you've really got to consider, if you're going to start a little bit later, you might continue later. So you need to save a little bit budget for later in the year.
There's Swordy on the board going, another 10. There's you going, no, pull them in, can't do another 10, get them in, the bike's going to get hammered.
We're quite lucky in respect that our budget is pretty good. We've got some big outside sponsors with Hitachi, Milwaukee and stuff, so we are quite lucky that, we are pretty well funded. We can always, like any team, use more when you try to compete with the factory teams, but we've got some good people like, Hitachi, Milwaukee, Asia Designs, are a lot of good backers behind us, so.
Yeah, it's been, like I said, the team's just gone from strength to strength each year, so that's cool. So we're finished off there. Steve, have you got anything more to add? What you got? We're kind of lining up for the lads the next couple of weeks. Have you got certain drills on certain days you got planned? I guess is it motos one day and then technical work the next? How does it work?
Yeah, I mean, we've got a 2-week plan pretty much, so we've got to stick to that because, like the unknown, we don't want to not prepare and not give it our all, because if it all sticks to the same dates, then we'll be on schedule. If we hear that there's some time, there's going to be a month to 6 weeks, a bit longer, then just like sort of saving the bikes and the budget, we'll try and save the riders a little bit as well, because we need them to peak at the right time and not be burnt out. It's a long season. If we've already done all this before, it just sort of, it's silly, and you sort of, if you get it wrong, it can cost the whole season, can be ruined. So we're going to do what we're doing. They've got some motos tomorrow, some sprints the next day, then they've got another day off, and the second week we're here, so that'll be next week. They got some WP suspension test days. So as long as we tick all that off, they've got bits of training to do. It's a 2-week camp really. They're eating, drinking, sleeping, riding across, trying to get it right for 2 weeks. Like you said, the BC, it all costs money, and we're down here. We're in a house. We've decided to come into a house because the hotels aren't that safe. The masks are on when we get out here, and it's still on a little bit of a lockdown here. A bit less than home, but we don't want to make a fool of ourselves, and we got to behave ourselves and just get to the track, come home, go to the track, and do it that way, because we might find in a week's time we get told to go home or something.
But you're working. Bottom line is you are working, so you're there to do a job, aren't you?
Yeah, we do say that as well.
Yeah, and of course, top up your tan. You'll both be coming back looking healthier. There is that. That's a bonus of it, isn't it? Really,
it is nice, though. I would say that.
Trust me, you have the UK weather this last week while you've been away. You've picked a good time. It's just been so grim.
What it done previous though? All the
fair enough. Okay,
it was like minus conditions when those boys were there, and they stood out there with the pit boards.
Okay, you've paid your dues.
Like Brandon and Luke want to mention how good they are. So
I'll give you that, BC. Of course, that's where team management comes into play, doesn't it? You can go, I'll watch from the van. You've paid your dues with that. Listen, fellas, I appreciate your time, because I know you've been busy in the day, and it is tiring. Even watching motocross is tiring, especially as you get older. We're all finding that now, as you said. See, gets us in the end. It's been a pleasure talking to you two. I shall look forward to catching up with you when you're back in the UK. We'll get obviously something done again later on in the year. Keep us up to date with what's going on down there. Any major news, let us know, and we'll shout about it on Dirt Hub. Like I said, we'll let you two. I hope your beds are made and you're ready to go.
Yeah,
I'm sure you'll be hanging up off here and going straight to bed, the pair of you, won't you?
Yeah,
probably tired you out.
Well, it's 10 o'clock now, so we'll make sure the children are in bed, and then
cut them in.
No, they've gone all in bed. The broadband's free and running, and now you can kick back and watch some box sets, can't you? Yeah, fine. I know how it works. Cuddle up on the sofa. I see it. Yeah.
Tidy up all their toys. Their controllers, so they can't play it tomorrow.
Listen, fellas.
One day will be floating in the pool.
Yeah. Enjoy yourselves down there, but work hard. I'm sure you will. And I'm sure from everybody watching in the UK, best of luck this season, guys. Hope it all goes to plan.
Thanks for having us.
I shall see you at an event, hopefully in, April?
We hope.
Yeah. What's the first one? No, hold on.
To be honest, we might do a Scottish Championship yet. There's talk we might do Scottish Championship first round.
Is that right? Okay.
Yeah,
all right.
possibly.
Back to the motherland.
Milwaukee's got like a little bit of
I saw that. Yeah.
yeah, they've kind of suggested that we go there, so you might find us there. Which, to be honest, I'd love to do that because, just to go back to Scotland would be nice for.
It's homeland, isn't it? Homeland BC. Before we go, very quickly, Carl Marchant wants to know where you can get one of those hats from. And he's gone one, and Alfie Thompson's gone one better. He's just simply asked, "Can I be on the team?" I don't think it's as straightforward as that, Alfie. I don't know. But I guess the answer is no.
What age is he?
I don't know what he wants to be, a rider or a mechanic. Anyway, we'll leave that there. Right, fellas, get going. Before this course is like him coming back with loads of questions.
He can come to the British Championship, tell him.
Yeah, that's it. If he comes to Cullum, he can get there and he can clean the van all weekend.
What was his name again?
Work experience.
I want the hat.
Is Alfie Thompson. There you go, Alfie.
Probably have about the Alfie Thompsons come up.
Listen, you two, get gone.
Looks like he rides a 125.
Does he? Right, okay. BC knows his stuff.
I'm just looking
I'll
at
tell you what, actually, we'll end with this very quickly. We're not going to do a thing. I know you've both been watching the Supercross while we've got it going on. So, right, next round. Call it. Lights and 450. Just the winner. Who's going to win the next round? Come on, let's hear you.
You go, BC.
Jet Lawrence is going to win the next 250 race.
Yeah.
450. Roxon's looking good.
Right. You can have the same if you want, Steve. You don't have to go against what BC said there.
No, I'm going to stick with Colt Nichols, I think. I think he's got the bit between his teeth now.
So that's 450 class.
I do think Lawrence it'll be a good race. And Craig will be up there for sure. But I think Colt Nichols just seems to, don't know.
Yeah. And 450?
450. Yeah. I think it will be Tomac. Yeah.
Okay. I got to say, I'm going to split. I'm going to take one of each from you. I'm going for Lawrence in the 250s, and I'm going for Tomac in the 450 next time out. Okay. We won't have a wager on it, but clearly, if I get that right,
to be honest, I wouldn't take wagers with these boys. They still owe me money from the first round.
If I get it right, clearly, I'm sending you two a text. So
we'll give you a hat. You can have one of our hats.
Brilliant. Give us a hat, and we can do a competition on Dirt Hub to give it away. You know,
the DVS hat's old school, is it not?
It is. That's from our time. What was that? 08? 08, wasn't it?
Yeah. Do you still have some shoes or not? I'd like a pair of them.
I've still got. Yeah, they're here somewhere. Yeah, I've still got the signature 57 shoe.
I'd like a pair of them.
Yeah.
Hey, why didn't we send you stuff then to give away on there? So
yeah, we can do that.
Yeah. Listen, let's do a competition following this. Once this goes out, obviously it's going out live.
Like a shirt and like a hat or something like that.
Race bike.
Yeah, and then you two.
Straight up.
Okay, we'll do a comp. You two can set the. You two can set the question.
Or plastics or something.
All right, but then you two can come up with the question because we'll obviously do a question for it or something. Can't just give it away. We do it like that. That'd be cool.
Yeah. All right.
All right. Roger's now going more expensive.
Yeah.
Anyway, never mind. It'll be fine. Right, go on, get going.
Perfect, Jeff. Thanks for having us on.
I'm busting for a piss as well because I've been drinking too much water again. We'll end it there.
You're in your age now, Jeff.
No, mate, terrible. I haven't even been drinking. I've had dry January and everything. Hold on, though. It's February, isn't it?
Get a beer.
Yeah.
You're a Fino man, aren't you?
I forgot about that. Right, I might go and crack one open then.
Hey,
right, go on.
Right, cheers, Jeff. Thanks for having us.
No, honestly, appreciate your time, fellas. Really do. We'll catch up further down the line. Have a good time out there. Hope, as I said, hope it all goes well. No injuries and nothing bad to report.
Yeah, brilliant.
All right, nice one, guys. See you later. So there you go. That's Sordy. There's BC. No, he's back. I'm removing him. Again, folks, thanks for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed that. A little bit of insight of what goes on with high-profile GP team down there at the start of the season. Obviously, as we said, difficult times. They're trying to plan as if it's going to go ahead. Hopefully, it will. But you get a little insight of what goes on, and we'll follow those guys while they're out there, and of course throughout the rest of the year. I'll be back again next Monday. Again, not sure on the guest just yet, so just keep tuning in to Facebook and obviously our website to see. As soon as we got some guests confirmed, we'll put that out there. Yeah, so basically we're going to be talking to some people. I've spoken to a few people in America, industry people over there that we might be getting on to talk more in depth with AMA Supercross. And that's it. Everybody stay safe for another week. That'll be another week crossed off the list, and hopefully another week closer to coming out of lockdown. Keep saying it. Just hang in there. Don't go getting tempted to go and rag your bike somewhere illegally and just give the sport a bad rap. That's not going to do anybody any favors. And it'll just make it more difficult for organizing clubs regionally and nationally when we come out of lockdown. So if you want to get back racing, do it right. We all know it sucks, but just do what you got to do until we get the green light to go riding. And that's it. Have a great week, everybody. And I'll see you next Monday. Take care.